Hello and welcome to another post-game edition of the Silver Bulletin. My name is Aaliyah Jackson and with me I have Colin Gay and Wyatt Crozier. And we're here in Spartan Stadium where we just witnessed Ohio State defeat Michigan State 26-6. Now guys, this is a game, classic Big Ten football, chilly weather, lots of punts, a position battle.
Lots of punts.
What do you guys have to say about this game initially, your initial reactions?
It was first word that comes to mind. It was ugly. It was an ugly game. I think I read in your gamer it was 11 scoreless. Like 11
scoreless to start.
Yeah, 11 scoreless to start. That was 11 straight punts. Field position
Two
was
missed field goals.
Two missed field goals. Excuse me. There was just a battle for field position. This was a classic Michigan State Ohio State matchup. Nobody could get the ground going, their offense going at all. Really, I mean, the Michigan State rush defense, especially in the first half, really stepped up and showed why it is the number one rush defense in the nation, limiting Mike Weber and J.K. Dobbins. But it was definitely one of the strangest games. It seems like it's really hard to discuss because in terms of who Michigan State is compared to what Ohio State is, it's just a really interesting game to cover, and really I don't know. In first reactions, it's one of the more interesting games we've had this year.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. It's an ugly game. Drew Chrisman really stepped up after shanking that first punt 4 yards. I think he downed them within the four straight punts, I want to say. That was a huge turn of events because that led to a safety, possibly intentional safety, but that's a whole other conversation, and a defensive touchdown. Yeah, on the score, it looks like, Ohio State beat a ranked team by 20. That's a big thing, but it's not that. I mean, Ohio State's defense played pretty well, but Michigan really shot themselves in the foot every single chance they had. I mean, it's a big win for the defense. It's a big momentum boost, but I don't know how much this really tells you about Ohio State moving forward.
Absolutely, this game is definitely strange. I don't know if I'd call it the strangest because this Ohio State team has had plenty of strange games this season. But Drew Chrisman, he was a star for this team. He kept pinning Michigan State's offense inside the 5, which is just incredible. How much can you take away from the defense's performance knowing that Michigan State had a long field all game?
Well, I mean, it's definitely helps when you have a punter that you know is going to put you near the 5. And I think, especially on the defensive line, that's what impressed me most was consistent pressure in the backfield, getting their rushing throws, getting tackles for loss on run plays. This Ohio State rush defense was, I mean, everybody came in talking about the Michigan State rush defense, but allowing 3 yards of rush, and I think it was like 1.5 yards per rush. It was like it was 10 yards. 10 yards. Sorry. Sorry, we can.
Keep going.
Okay, keep going. Sweet. So 10 yards on 10 rushes in the first half. It was they were spectacular. And I think one of the big things is moving forward. I mean, if you're going to have momentum from a punter, I mean, that's going to set the tone for the rest of the defense moving forward.
Yeah, and another thing that's just like, on the pass offense, they 18 for 48 with the Michigan State quarterbacks combined. I don't know how much you can say is Ohio State's they're missing a lot of throws, but it was a lot of the pressure. I think a lot of the pressure helped stop Brian Lewerke and Rocky Lombardi from really getting that momentum. It caused them to make some bad decisions, caused the fumbles. The rush looked great today. In comparison to a lot of games in the past where it felt like they were missing Nick Bosa, I thought it looked really strong today. And again, the defense, it's hard to say how much this is going to move forward in a game like Michigan or Maryland because of Michigan State's offense looked lackluster, to say it nicely, but it's going to be a big confidence boost at the least.
Now, offensively, they struggled immensely in the first half. The only thing they could do was pass the ball, which has been the story with this offense all game. But near the end, especially in that fourth quarter, Mike Weber really started to break out. It's pretty encouraging to see this Ohio State team be able to run the ball. Do you think they'll be able to continue to do this moving forward? I mean,
there was a stat that in some point in the second quarter was a clean 100 yards for Ohio State's pass game and 0 rush yards, which kind of just sums it up for a lot of the season. Eventually, they ended up breaking 100 yards, 120 rushing yards. Looked a little better in the second half, but for a while, it was just absolutely nothing. Michigan State's defense was really proving to be as good as they said, and then Haskins was missing some throws. I mean, he did a little bit of that at Nebraska. It looked like it might have been more Nebraska than Haskins. But this game, it looked like he was just missing some throws. He missed a couple of guys deep. The pressure was getting to him a little bit, but I think that's going to be something he's going to have to try to fix and try to get back into that momentum he had when he was throwing 400 yards each game.
Yeah, when we talked to him after the game, he said he felt he was accurate. And there were some throws I think he'd wish he had back, especially the one you described deep to McLaurin. He overthrew a little bit. He said he overthrew it a little bit. There were a couple drops, especially for Johnny Dixon. That could have been good, nice yardage for Ohio State, but really, yeah, it wasn't. He didn't blame the weather, and it's really not bad out here right now. But it's a kind of, it just wasn't Haskins' game in terms of, but he felt confident in his performance, and yeah, I mean, really, Ohio State really didn't need the passing game in this one again for the second straight week.
Now, one thing that looked quite awful, to be honest, was this offensive line in the first half. They got it together a little bit more in the second half. Again, letting Mike Weber run for a little bit in that fourth quarter. Do you guys think this offensive line is going to be able to stand the test of time when they get Michigan in a couple weeks, or are they going to fall under that type of pressure?
I think it's going to be a big test, and I think Michigan's definitely going to be a big test, but I mean, Maryland, they can set the tone if they want to. So it'll be interesting to see how they take against, because Michigan State has, in the past, I mean, they had the number one rush defense in America, and I think letting Mike Weber, creating holes, creating space for Mike Weber, especially in the fourth quarter, I mean, that's a sure sign of improvement for the offensive line. Maybe not in the first half, but definitely in the second half as the game started to go in favor of Ohio State.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. You just have to wait and see, because like Nebraska looked great. They looked like they were really making the holes that they promised. Isaiah Prince is all about how this is what you want. Just follow me and I'll make the holes for you. A little bit less in that game, but Michigan State's also the top rush defense in the country. So, I mean, first half it looked pretty brutal. They were getting beat pretty often, especially by Willicks, who was really making some plays for Michigan State. But I thought they looked better in the second half, but that was also a lot was going on with Michigan State to make it look like they were doing better in the second half.
All right, that's all we have for you guys today. 26-6 is the final here at East Lansing. For Colin and Wyatt, my name's Leah Jackson, and thanks for watching another post-game edition of the Silver Bulletin. We'll see you back here next week.